Okay, so I think we are live. So a big welcome everyone to this Ask Me Anything about Microsoft certifications. So we're here, we're live, and we're just going to get started. And you can just start by using the chat, just to interact today and ask your questions. And I'll just start here by sparking here the conversation and just asking you one thing, why why should you get certified? What is your reason that you have to get certified? What was your main reason that you had for that? And when the answers start flowing here, I think it's we can just start to basically uh, run here some small presentation that I have, which is basically some of the certifications that Microsoft has. What are the roles? Why you know you should go for those, and you should go for other ones. So let's just get started with that part too. So let me just bring that up here, and just start flowing your questions if you have questions about Microsoft certifications, like, hey Tiago, I want to take this certification. How can I take this certification? Why should I take another one? What are the benefits? How to pass on a Microsoft exam? And by the way, I have just another session in about like 2-3 weeks exactly about that, like tips on how to pass on a Microsoft certification. But just start with this. So let's just go and what is your purpose here today? Just why you should get certified, Microsoft certifications by by area, and then just tips and tricks on how to get certified. And if you just want to say hi, I already started seeing here some messages. Thanks for that, by the way. Just start flowing those messages, okay? And I'll show them live, by the way, okay, if you want. So why should you get certified? I did this question some time ago on Twitter and on LinkedIn. I just like creating like a small poll about why people should get certified, and this was some of the answers that I got, and as you can see, they're pretty balanced. I was like, oh, very very surprised to see this balance between the two social networks, because quite different ones, let's be honest, right? And one of the main reasons why people said that they wanted to be certified was to become more knowledgeable on a certain topic, to update their skills. And so the certification for those, and I just basically I interviewed some of those, by the way. They just told me that the certification is great, Tiago, but it's just like a cherry on top of the cake. Being the cake, all the knowledge that I get. And I was like, awesome, because that's exactly how I feel too about Microsoft certifications, is exactly the same way, which is certifications are like awesome. Let's be honest, to have them, it's great to show off, hey, I know this. This is me. This is Tiago. And I have all this knowledge here. But, the main reason for I take certifications is exactly for that, for all the knowledge that I will gain from those certifications. Okay. So that was a great surprise, by the way, to see that at least the great majority of people kind of agree with me on this. Then, of course, recognition was also a big one. New career opportunities also very important. Because for sure we always want to achieve better position in our company. Sometimes not because of the salary, the increase on the salary, but just because we want to do something that is more aligned to ourselves today. And maybe the job that we currently have was aligned with ourselves like in the past. Okay. So but now we just want to do new things, have more responsibilities in our job. And definitely this certification will will align with that. And then Microsoft partner requirements. So that was also not so big, but it's like kind of like second, um, or let's just say third on LinkedIn, and then second on Twitter. because I don't know if you know, but for Microsoft certified partners, so that they keep certified or they attain new new partnerships with Microsoft, they need to have X number of people certified on certain topics, depending on the the area. We call them solution area, by the way, that they want to achieve. And then sometimes there are people that our job just asks them, hey, go get this certification because we need for the Microsoft partnership. Okay, so that's a good one. Before we go, I already have here some questions, so I'll just go with those. I have here, Pedro is saying that what's going on with the current value of an MCT, a company. When we were talking about giving training, seems like all the courses are now on Learn for free. So yes, so basically a lot of the stuff it's on Learn for free, which is good for all the students out there. Not probably, I think Pedro was saying that is not so good for a Microsoft certified trainer. By the way, that's what MCT stands for. Um, I'm I have a very divided opinion on this. I really think it's the instructor that does the difference. It's not because the content is out there that will make a big difference. At least that's my point of view. I know that it's not the point of view of everyone, and it's valid points that some people do. But I think the knowledge being out there, it's great because I think the majority of the audience that takes that content and just consumes Learn for free on the go probably will not see it on a class. But again, that's a very discussable topic. But yeah, so basically that's what we have here today. Let me see here more questions, okay? Ta-ta-ta-tum. So we have also Alexander that says, thanks for your time. My question is currently about becoming an MCT. Okay. So I think MCT is our topic today. And your opinion on which path to take, considering that CompTIA CTT Plus will retire very soon. Okay. So, yes. So, for you to become an MCT, you have to become certified on one of the associate level certifications, like, for example, Azure Admin, Azure Developer, Microsoft 365 Admin, something like that. And you also need to have to prove that you are a good instructor, a good trainer. So that part is done by attending one of the providers that are in the list on the page about the Microsoft certified program. And just choose one of those. I know that there's some that they just run some classes. CTT Plus it was pretty popular and it's pretty good, to be totally honest. I'm a huge fan of CompTIA CTT Plus, but CompTIA decided to remove it. It's not a problem, Alexander, if you take it until it gets removed. And I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think it's going to be removed until the end of this year, so 31 of December. But not so sure about that. I needed to check because they changed the date. It was originally a certain date, then they postponed it a little bit. So just take that. It's a great certification. Then with that, you can basically just take your MCT. And once you're an MCT, it's not that when the CTT Plus gets removed that you're going to lose your MCT because of that. No, you're an MCT or an MCT, period, done. Okay. So there's no problem in having an MCT with a certification that's no longer valid. Okay, because it just doesn't exist. But when you entered into the program, was a valid one. So you have that one that I think this could be a great help for you. I already have some other questions here. Keep the questions coming, by the way. I have some questions here that I would just want to keep them okay for further in the session here today. So this is some of the certifications that we have when it comes to Azure data and AI, and also security. And as you can see here, look, we have tons of certifications when it comes to Azure. And look, I'm a huge, huge fan of people getting started, by just getting started here, okay, with the Azure fundamentals. I think if you're just getting started in all this IT, or you are an IT professional, a seasoned IT professional, but look, you just get started in the cloud world, you're very much focused on prem. It's a great point to get started. Okay, it's not a very hard certification, to be totally honest. Something very achievable with not that much effort. Gives you the fundamentals, okay, on how Azure works, all of that part, and then yeah, start thinking about some other stuff here on the top. And when we talk about this, we're talking about like Azure administrator. We're talking about like an Azure developer, network administrator. So there are like roles aligned for certain jobs. If I'm going to do cloud engineering, so I'm going to be a cloud engineer. That's Azure admin. Okay, that's probably one of the ones that align better with your job role. If you tell me, hey, no, Tiago, no, I'm a dev. I code for a living. That's what I love to do, and I just want to know how to become a developer that can interact with the Azure services that are out there. Azure developer, and it doesn't matter that if you code on .NET, Python, Java, PHP, or whatever. Just go for that because that's pretty agnostic, and it basically just explains like, hey, we have this amazing service here, and with this amazing service we can do this and this, and we have SDKs for .NET, for Python, Java, PHP, look, whatever. So it's pretty agnostic in terms of language, and it's pretty good on that. If you're super focused on networking, you know there's the Azure networking engineer. I honestly don't advise anyone to go just for that. I think you should go first for an Azure administrator, and then you just go for something like the networking. So administration first, then networking. Is that a mandatory path? No, that's just Tiago saying. Okay, I think the knowledge that you get on the administrator, it's going to be super helpful on the network engineer. But that's just me saying. Okay, it's not mandatory, because there's stuff that is mandatory. Like, for example, imagine that I want to become a solution architect. And if you want to become a solution architect, yes. So that comes with a prereq. The exam, as you can see there, is the Easy 305, but you also need, okay, to have a prereq, and that prereq is the Azure administration. So it doesn't need to have, by the way, when we say this, well, it's mandatory, it's the certification, by the way, okay? There's a huge confusion out there. People, oh, you need to take AZ 104 and AZ 305. No, that's wrong. What you need to have is the certification Azure administrator. Okay. Then how do you got there? Well, it doesn't matter, because back in the past we had AZ 100 plus 101. We also had other versions, but there was also another version which was just AZ 103, and now the current one is AZ 104. If you are someone that already took the Azure administrator, you know, like a few years ago, and let's imagine you took it when it was AZ 103. You have the certification, you keep renewing your certification every year, so you still have the certification in a valid point. Sure, okay, no problem with that. What happens is you can always, just go and just take AZ 305, and you're going to get the certification, the Azure Solution Architect cert. You know, no worries with that. So you don't need to go for the AZ 104. I already saw several people taking a second exam like AZ 104, and then go for the 305. Well, if you like taking exams like myself, it's always nice to take another exam, but it's just not mandatory. Okay, that's the important part on this. We also have the DevOps engineer. It's like I'm a huge fan, to be honest, of this one. And this also comes with prereqs, but the prereq here is a little bit different, which is you have to become an Azure administrator or Azure developer. Okay, one or the other. You don't need to take both, just one of them, and it doesn't matter which one. To be honest, if you're more into administration, into cloud engineering, just take that. Probably it's just easier for you. If you're from the dev world, just take the Azure developer, because it might be uh, something more relevant for you. Okay, and something that is not so more relevant to you, but also easier, I know, for you to take. Okay, and we can also never forget the Windows Server administrator or hybrid administrator. So that's pretty core. And if you work a lot with Windows Server, this is the cert that you want. This is a special one because even if it's an associated one, okay, it comes with two exams, okay, 800 and 801. Just because, to be totally honest with you, there is so much content on this that will be a very bad exam if they just consolidated all that content in just a single exam. So they had to create two, okay, or they had to cut content, but they decided to have two exams to have, that certification. So that's a good, that's, in my opinion, that's a super valid decision. So I have a question here about the 305. Okay, by the way, keep your questions coming on the chat. Super happy to, to answer all your questions. So the question is, do you know if a Z305 will have labs in the future? I guess you're talking about the exam. And the thing is, yes, Microsoft exams, they used to have labs. We call it performance based testing. And performance based testing was removed during when COVID started, so that Microsoft could spare some compute power for emergency services and all the work from home, or the schools that started to do homeschooling via Teams, and they needed Azure resources. So that's what happened some time ago, and they removed all that from the exams. Uh, they have this opening to bring it back, but to be totally honest, I would love to have them back. Okay, that will be great. But I don't know when they're going to bring it back, and to be honest, there's no news on that. They can bring it back tomorrow if they want, okay, because there's nothing, let's just say, not allowing that on the exam policy and all of that. But yeah, that's something that we don't have any information about that. At least I don't have any information. I'm sure someone has, okay, but I don't have, okay. If you're talking about, because there's this question can mean two things, by the way. If you're talking about when we were teaching this, like Microsoft certified trainers like me, that are when we were teaching this, the official course doesn't have any labs, and it will not have, as also not any architect level course will have. At least that's the policy right now. They come with, basically, with case studies. Okay, just give a case study, and people will just, depending on that case study, they will just just basically practice on that. Personally, as an instructor, I love that format. Okay, because usually, and I do consulting, so I do like 50% consulting, 50% training. And when I'm doing consulting, and I was just, for example, before this live, I was just doing, designing an architecture for one of my customers, and yeah, I don't touch on the stuff, to be totally honest with you. Okay, there is a team of cloud engineers that they're doing all that stuff. I think they're now watching this, by the way. But we don't touch as an architect. And then, of course, sometimes we take the hat of the architect, and I do this a lot, and I put the hat of a more uh hands-on person, not exactly a cloud engineer, but I need to put my hands on, and I need to do stuff. But this is me. This is how I move. This is how I work, because I really like to understand what I'm doing. But not everyone in the job role there, in the job role description, needs to do that. So there's no labs on the exam, on the exam right now. There's no labs on the course, and it should not be any labs. There are some people that created some labs for the 305. Sure, okay. You can do, and usually what I do is I do a lot of demos in my classes. Hey, this, because sometimes we have an architect that doesn't understand that concept, never saw that. Hey, let's just see, let's just do something. We have an Azure subscription to try out some stuff, very open subscription, and we can just try out things, and we can play around with stuff that we still didn't touch on. But I'm not going to ask cloud architects, oh, let's create a VM, okay, or let's create a storage account, because just they don't need. okay, to do this for their job. Okay, and yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks for the answer. um so what do we have more? Data and AI. Like, I'm sure everyone understands the importance nowadays with data and AI. If I said this a few years, like a year ago, 6 months ago, people were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's important." But now, with all the explosion of AI, I think it's more than understandable the real importance that this has. And we have here amazing certifications, like fundamentals on AI fundamentals, data fundamentals. It's the same thing as the Azure fundamentals, but of course more in the context of Azure data and more in the context of Azure AI, and we talk about OpenAI, we talk about cognitive services, face APIs, recognition of and writing, a bunch of stuff regarding artificial intelligence, regarding data. And then we have their four different associate level certifications that, as you can see them: data scientist, AI engineer, data administrator. Data administrator is just like, being a SQL administrator, and you kind of cover, all the core SQL administration roles, from running SQL on a VM, SQL admin, SQL databases, managed instances, basically all of that. And then data engineering, how to prep data, so that data scientists and AI engineers then can do magic with those data. Because I still, to be honest, sometimes I still think that they really do magic with that, because the amazing things that we can do with this, it's like, wow. Then a part that for me, it's an area that more and more I've been working on a lot, which is security. Again, the fundamentals on this, like on security, compliance, and also on identity, which is like one of the core parts that we have on all this. And then we have here four different security certifications on this, which one, it's a very, very focused on Azure, which is the Azure Security Engineer, AZ500. Um, it's pretty much, hey, we have this service here. How do you protect this? Okay, best practices on how to protect this service, and with a big chunk on identity too. There used to be also another one, and there still exists, which is the Microsoft 365 security. It still exists, but I'll just remove it from here, by the way, from my presentation, because to be totally honest, it's gone in 2 months, or 1 month, even probably like one. Yeah, we're already in the end of May. So it's going to be deprecated. The replacement is, those SCs that we have, that we have here, um, like SC 200, 300, or 400. They are more focused on, some of the parts that we have here. Um, but that one is gone. But the Azure one, no, the Azure one is here to stay, because, like I said, it talks about something that's not covered by the others. We cover things like, hey, how do you protect storage accounts? How do you protect SQL databases? How do you protect virtual machines? And things like that none of the other ones cover. Okay, there is one from the others that I'm like a mega huge fan, which is the Identity and Access Administration, the SC300, which is basically just on Azure AD, which is like, wow, it's like amazing. I love, 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 love that one, to be totally honest. The security operations, it's basically half Microsoft Defender for Cloud and Microsoft Sentinel. So it's kind of 50-50 on those two big topics, which are like massively important also for security. On top of all this, we have the SC here, the SC 100. And someone was asking, I didn't forget about you, by the way. Okay. I want to know more about SC 100, if it's worth it. Definitely. Okay. That's the architect certification when it becomes, when we are talking about cybersecurity. And we all know how big cybersec is becoming nowadays, more and more. And look, I'm absolutely sure, I don't like to do, to do predictions for the future, but this is an easy one. In 6 months, is in one year, this is even becoming more and more important. Absolutely. And having a certification like this gives you a really good perspective in how to design and architecting solutions for cybersecurity on the cloud, on the Microsoft cloud. That can also integrate then with on-prem, can integrate with other cloud providers and all of that. So definitely, this is something that I honestly advise you to have a look at this, because there is a lot to cover in here, and it is a great certification for you to have. You don't need just to take the SC100. Just be careful with this, okay? You need to have one of the associate certifications that you see down there, SC 200, 300, 400, or the AZ 500. So you have to have one of those and the SC 100, okay? So those are the ones that you need to have. But just go for it. I just only have here LinkedIn user. Okay, so LinkedIn user, go for that. I'm absolutely sure that you're going to love all the knowledge that you're going to gain on that. I have that certification, and it was like super cool, to study for that certification, because even I that work on the field for some time, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Never thought about this. And again, this is why I love certifications, all that part that we can get. Then we have Microsoft 365, and I'm sure, okay, we're always looking for, there's always people looking for stuff on Microsoft 365. But before that, I can just spark here again. Just tell me, what are your certification goals for 2023 if you have some? What are the certifications that you aim to get in this year, or Tiago, maybe not this year, but for 2024? Okay, you know just go for it. Just tell me, what do you feel that you're going to achieve 2023, 2024? Okay, that will be nice to know, and we can just basically focus our conversation more on the things that you guys want to get. So when we're doing that, Microsoft 365, we have less here. Okay, so this is way less than because the other part we had like three categories, like Azure, data, and cybersecurity. Okay, but in here, for example, we have the Microsoft 365 fundamentals. Again, the same story: fundamental knowledge, all that. And we have here, there's a big change, by the way, on this. Like, there's the MD 102, which is going to be the new exam to obtain the modern desktop administrator. It used to be MD 100 plus 101. Two exams, one exam now. Okay, it's still in beta, but I like to keep my stuff super mega up to date. Okay, so I'll go for that version, because the other version is also going to be outdated pretty soon. Okay, we also have the MS 102 here for the enterprise administrator. So that's the new one. So you need to have an associate third year plus the 102. This is from, having that plus more two exams, because it was used to be the 100 plus the 101. So they consolidated all that in just one exam. Okay. We also have one more focus on messaging. So it might basically like email, like Change, all that part. We have something here more on the Teams part, like communication services. This is a brand new cert, by the way. Uh, Teams administrator or Teams voice engineer. This is an expert level certification. And we also have this one here. This one, by the way, is also going to be deprecated, but further. And if you want to take this exam, you need to ask permission. You need a special code to take it. This is just for you to obtain certain certifications on the Microsoft partnership. Okay, so but basically, that's something that I still wanted to keep it because this is such a cool cert, to be honest. And I was talking with a friend the other day about this, and they're retiring this. I'm really sorry about that, to be honest. I kind of already give my feedback on the product group about that, because this was like pretty cool, because just on development for teams, and we all know how important it is, to really customize the experience that our collaborators in our organization can have, and building apps for teams and all of that. So that was a pretty cool stuff. And we also talked like about Microsoft Graph and about a lot of very important topics. So I really hope that they come up with something alternative to this. Fingers crossed. Okay, we hope so. Okay, cool. We have here Mike saying bit late. Apparently, you're never late. You can always go back and just rewatch what we were saying, but just keep live now. Keep doing questions, okay? And then I also have here again Alexander saying he wants to focus on AZ400 and 305. Wow, two expert level certs. That will be cool. And yeah, I have both. And to be honest, the knowledge that you get on both, amazing. Okay, really, really, really cool. I also have another person saying, thanks for answering my question on the SC100. I'm a DevOps engineer and already did the 400. I'm going to sit for 305, but I'm confused about the next third, which direction to go, VP100 or SC100. Hey, I will go SC100, to be totally honest with you. Just don't forget the prereq, because if you take the SC100, you might get the certification as well too. So if you need to one of the other ones, just go for like AZ500, probably through your background for what you say there, probably is one that seems to be more easier for you, or SC300, which is just on identity. And then take AC100, and you will get not just that exam, but also the certification. Okay, so there you go. Pretty cool. Okay, and by the way, just keep sending here certification goals that you have for 2023. Okay, so with this, we get to what we're going to get here to a part that is Power Platform. Look, more than ever, security is important, AI is important. Sure, they're great parts, but there are also people that they're never going to work on security because they're just not their area of expertise. But they just need, for example, to create dashboards in order to provide all that expertise of all the data that the data engineers prepared, with a little bit of AI machine learning, but they need to show that data to the users, so that the users can then run the business. That's PL 300. Okay, Power BI data analyst. That sometimes we build amazing solutions in the back, but then we fail on showing that data to our users. We need to find something that is easier for them to consume, is easier for them, because they are the ones that know the business. Okay, it's not usually the people that build the background systems, and then they can just tweak all those results to be shown the way that they want. And so Power BI analyst is super important for those power users that we have out there. Still on those power users, and you know what, with Power Automate, with Power Builder, we have so many Power Platform applications nowadays that we can just build an app, can just build a website, with very little code, or even with a no code, total no code experience. And we can empower, okay, the users with that knowledge. Here are some certifications that we can give them, or we can have some people that, okay, they're not the users, but they are super close with the business, and they are like power analysts or something like that, that they can just kind of fit the gap that sometimes we have between IT and business. And they can build this last mile app that is like super important and sometimes is forgotten on organizations. And look, I'm talking about myself. I work very much in the back, and we build like amazing solutions, and then I'm always the one like, okay, but how are we going to show this to the users? And sometimes there is a very awkward silence on the calls, or when are in an in-person meeting and people start looking at each other. Oh yeah, we didn't thought about that. Yeah, I go, yeah, but I think that's like massively, massively important in order to do that. Okay, so sure, that definitely something that we need to consider. Okay, um, so more stuff here. Okay, um, last but not the least, Dynamics. Okay, Dynamics 365. Okay, so look, Dynamics 365. It's such an awesome area too, because uh it's basically, we have an RP, we have like CRM solutions just built, and but they don't work as it is. You need to customize them a lot to make sure that they are aligned with your business. So we have here a bunch of also different roles, and I'm to be honest, this one I'm just going to leave it here, because they are super specific, like just customer service. That's one of the modules of Dynamics. Marketing, sales, field service. And we have like super specific modules for super specific functions that we have there, on how to customize them. And also on top of all of this, you have like basically the supply chain management functional consultant and the finance and operation apps solution architect. And of course, this, to be totally honest with you, is like super, but like super connected with Power Platform, and you can just connect the two worlds with this. Okay, so before we go here, let me just see, because we have like another part here. I have like some other questions here. Like, let's just go some questions. Mike is asking, do you think that AZ 140 is worth it? So 140 is for Azure Virtual Desktop. Okay, for people that don't know, I didn't have that. I don't have all the certs. So that's what we call a specialization. There's another one on SAP too. And for me, any by the way, Mike already has 104, which is the Azure Administrator, 305, which is the Architect, and 500, which is the Security one. If you work with the virtual desktop world, definitely, you'll learn something. And you will validate also the knowledge that you have through your employer or future employers that you might want to achieve. So definitely I will go with that, but it's a niche area. If you don't plan to work with virtual desktop, if you don't work with virtual desktop today, it's like going that way. Look, it's always knowledge, not saying no to that. As an architect, and it's always nice to have a little bit of knowledge on that area. But why not? Okay. But again, probably there's other certifications. If you don't work with that, that might be better. Like for example, an SC 100, which is like something more on the art on the security level, which is definitely super important for an Azure architect to have and to know about this. Okay. Then we also have here. Let's just see. Amini, nice to see you again. Thanks. Okay, always nice to have you here. Why do you think it's better folding one path specifically to be open to multiples? Oh yeah, good point. Specialization versus a more broad knowledge. That's a very again, a lot of people will have different answers for this. I will say that personally, myself, I like to focus on something. And my focus, as some of you know, and probably everyone knows here, it's Azure. I like to be known as, hey, Tiago is the Azure person, okay? Period. Because when I'm doing consulting as an independent, I prefer to be specialist on something, because that's what companies are looking for when they need someone, as an independent, like a contractor. Sometimes, depending on the position that you have on the organization, I have people that I work with that they need to have a super broad knowledge, right? Because the company doesn't run on Azure only. They also need Microsoft 365. They also need networking and other areas, but they don't need to go on a deep knowledge on all of those. So sure, that will make sense. So it depends more on how do you want to build your career on. If you want to be the person of that topic, definitely go specific. And then do what I do. I have all the fundamentals. Okay, I took all the fundamentals uh, just to know a little bit about everything, because I don't need to have, like for example, certification as like an enterprise admin on Microsoft 365, like an expert level cert, because I'm not going to work with that. Let's be honest. I don't even want to have that. It's a little bit that. But I might want to take, for example, oh look, PL 300. The other day I was a little bit bored, and I kind of bet with a friend that I could take the exam, and I just sit on the exam, and I basically I study, of course, for the exam a little bit, learn some stuff. I and I took the exam, I passed, and I have that certification. Am I going to work as a Power BI analyst? Sure not. It's just not me. Okay, I have a huge respect for people that do that, but is just not for me. Okay, that's it. But I like to have knowledge because sometimes I need to build some dashboards for like Azure governance, cost management on Azure, and hey, I learned some new techniques and some ways that I was doing wrong, and I now I'm doing it better. So again, my advice is go specific, and then you just take a little bit here and there where it makes sense. I think that is my vision, for at least my personal vision on that. Okay. Mike, replying to Mike, I have been managing them for a year. Oh, okay. Cool. So basically, I think you're talking about Azure Virtual Desktop. Um, so yeah, if you are doing that, yeah, just go for it to validate your knowledge. I think that'll be a great stuff because Mike, for people that were just entering on the live now, Mike was asking about if you should take the virtual desktop certification or not. So definitely go for that. Oh, what is the most valuable Azure cert currently? That's an easy one. That's the Azure Architect, definitely. Okay. That's what companies now are looking for to have people on, because they need someone senior. They need someone that has that knowledge on how to architect solutions, because and architect solutions in the right way. Because to be honest, myself, that's what I do, and I can tell you that there is a lot of issues out there, organizations that have stuff that was not well designed, or things that when they were created, uh, they were a good design, but now they should be done in a different way. But because they are done that way, they are also doing the new stuff in that way, which is super wrong. So definitely something that it's a super valuable certification, to have. Okay, but basically, definitely. Okay, so now let's go talk about here, how to get Microsoft certified. This is kind of like tips and tricks, and I'm sure that some of you are just here just for this. Okay. So what I have here is basically just some tips here. And what I have here is, for example, look, instructor-led training, video-based learning, Microsoft Learn. Let's just, categorize all those in ways of learning. I have students that when I do a class, I usually sometimes I teach, and when I'm doing a class as an ILT class, I have students that they're just there for the week, and they need to be there to be focused on learning that, because their job role, they get so much mail, they get so much messages, so much phone calls, that they can't focus at all doing any, self-paced learning. So they need to be in a class, just there, so that they can focus on something, because it's important for them. Other people, due to you know, their jobs, that they don't have this, um, they can focus sometimes. Oh, let me take an hour here, and let me just just focus on um just learning something, and they can take an hour. They can go on Microsoft Learn, read some modules, try some stuff, do part of a lab, because they can't afford that time. Video-based learning, the same thing. Sometimes when you're commuting, why not just put your headphones, on your tablet, on your phone, just watch a video of some instructor explaining something, and you learn on your commute, and you use your commute, to learn something. Or instead of reading a book, sometimes one day, I'm not going to read a book, just going to see some videos. You can just download some of the videos, and you can just watch them on the go. It's pretty cool. But some other people, know they just prefer to be in a class, so it's different. you know Microsoft Learn is free, like we were saying, at the beginning of the class, which is great for students that they might can't afford instructor-led training, to be honest. So if you can't afford ILT as instructor-led training, at least you have something for you. Okay. If you ask me, Tiago, what will be your advice? It's not because I'm a trainer, okay? To be totally honest, I'm not biased, but I'll try to be biased on my answer. I think having an expert in front of you where you can ask questions, you can interact with that person, you can have discussions with the class, with other peers, all of this, all that environment. You're not just paying the training, you're paying also this environment that we can have. And the instructor is not there just to teach, he's also there to create, this community spirit among all of you, so that we can have this, and we can have this chat, and we can grow our experiences. This is even more important, for example, for an Azure architect. You can't even imagine the amazing classes that are already taught about Azure architects, and what I have learned too as an instructor with my students. So all of this is just really, really great, okay, to have. So my advice, ILT, definitely. If you can afford that. If you can't, well, yes, video-based learning training. Some of it's paid, but way cheaper than a 5-day class. Okay, Microsoft Learn is free. Okay, so use a mix of what you can afford. Then we also have books, and I'm a huge fan. Always carry it's always here, my little friend, my tablet, where I have some books, and to be honest, it's just like amazing what we can learn. And like today, for example, I was just reviewing a book this morning that is a friend that wrote, and I'm just reviewing her book and writing just basically a recommendation on her book because it's really good for beginners. Okay, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Because for some people, they like books. When I like books, by the way, I like books in a tablet. To be honest, I know, again, discussable, right? There are people that now are saying, "Oh my god, on the tablet, no, I need to have the paper." Good for you. The advantage of having the digital version, in the cloud, stuff changes so much. You get it faster when it gets released, and sometimes they get updated, and you get the new version of the book. Okay, because they give you the new version of the book. If it's not like a second edition or a third, right? But within the second edition or the first edition, if they update the book, you get that book up to date for you too. And we also have practice exams. Okay, so just go, and there's a bunch of suppliers out there about practice exams, Measure Up being the most known one. But by the way, and let me just show you here uh something. Let me just see if I can take this out of the way, and let me just show you something here, because it's like super, super cool. What we can see here, this is my screen here. Let's go for, I don't know, let's just search like YZ104. Okay, and if we go for some exams, not all exams have this, but if you scroll down, because this is so super hidden, it's like incredible. And near the part where you can schedule your exam, there is some exams, almost all of them already have this, which is this part here: take a free practice assessment. And look, you can click on this, and you know what? You can, oh, not this one. I think I'm in the wrong browser, but well, whatever, doesn't matter. You have a practice exam here with some questions, and they just give you here like, hey, you plan to use the following two, blah, 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 blah. You have like here an ARM template. And now I'm not going to read this, as you can imagine. Which two resources should you provision to ensure that a password can be stored, correctly? Let's just say, hey, I don't know, Key Vault, for example, and an access policy, for example. I don't know, I didn't read the question, and you can just check this. I was right. Okay, so yeah, and then they explain why this is it. If you go next, let me just try to get this wrong, check the answer. There you go. Oh my god, I still got two right. You get this wrong, so they give you this here. Hey, this is incorrect, and also they give you why the ones are the correct versions, and this was the one that we failed. So this is pretty cool. And to be totally honest with you, you know what? This is free. You don't pay for this. So, just try to use this if the exam that you want to take, works for you. So basically, that's it here. Let me just see here some more questions. So we have here a question um, that just says, as an MCT, and I don't think this is showing. There you go. As an MCT, what resources do you use to learn and master dynamics or other certs? Well, dynamics, I don't. To be totally honest, it's just not my area, okay, of expertise. So I don't. But for other certifications, yes. What do I use? So I've been working in Azure for really a long time. Too much time that I want to admit, to be honest. Is since the days of things like, for example, that was called Project Red Dog, for people that know what it is. So I have to keep up to date all the time, right? So definitely learn. Sometimes I go and learn and just read some of the modules. But I also like to have a very, very, very hands-on experience. So I have my own subscription that I paid for, and I just go and I just create some stuff on that subscription, which is a dev subscription, and I just learn on the go. I learn on the go with that, and I read a lot. This is why, by the way, I was saying this. Okay, this is why I love this. As some of you know, I travel a lot too, and so when I'm traveling, I'm on the plane, always reading something on here. Okay, this is why I use a tablet and I don't use books. I also like books. Okay, to be honest, but the books have a problem for me. Is that if I take one book, it's already bigger and heavier than this. So I over there I have all my Azure books, all my books, and I just can just read on the go. And sometimes I'm like, I have to do this. I think on that book there was something that I read about that. Let me just check, and I can search on the books. So yeah, so books is also something that is very, very important for me. Then I prepare for certification. If there is a practice exam, I will try practice exams from Azure Up, from Microsoft Learn, the free ones, and then I sit for the exam, and hopefully I'm ready to go. Okay, so we're now just doing questions. So let's just see if we have here some more questions. I have one here that, so I do old SC300 Azure Identity, basically. Okay, and SC900 Security Fundamentals, along with AZ900 Azure Fundamentals, DP900 Data Fundamentals, AI Fundamentals, AZ400, and 104. Next month, I'm scheduled, so I guess I'll be eligible for SC100. Thanks for clearing my doubt. Okay, cool. I was just a message. I didn't read this before I showed it. Okay, so next one, what do we have? How to take full discounts for beta exams. Well, let's talk about beta exams, by the way. First, you really need to ask yourself if you really want to take a beta exam. Beta exams, you take them, and you do not get the score right away. Okay, first. So you're not going to get that score right away. The score will be released a few weeks after the beta ends. Those few weeks can be like 6, 8 weeks, sometimes more. Okay, so that's there. And also, it's a beta for a reason. Is that sometimes the questions are not polished enough. So they are not easy sometimes. Sometimes I already took several betas, and I took the betas, and I'm like, whoa, this question could be polished better. And I also used to write questions, and sometimes I write questions for Microsoft, and so I know the process very well. So I always like to give feedback. I think this, should be better, this, and this way. So you have to be careful with that. This is beta exams in general. Then, yeah, how do you can take basically full discount for beta exams? Only if you're a Microsoft certified trainer, and if you're a partner, there's also some other full discounts for partners that you can get them. But you have to really look at your email very closely. You really need to sign up really, really soon, because they are really, really limited. The number of exams that they have available for that. They really want to have some people taking the exam so that they have data to analyze and polish the questions, and understanding that, hey, look, this question is here. Is it a good question or not? Because, we should have X people passing on this question or getting the question right, and we only get like, I don't know, like 10%. That there is definitely something wrong, with this question, and we need to look for it. Um, so basically that's something that, you need to look for. There are some people asking me here on the comments. I'm not going to put that on live here, about what was the URL of that page that I was showing with the certifications when I got in. It's this one here, okay. So basically, for everyone, if you want, which is basically this, this page that I have here, because that's where I was. This page is like amazing because we can get like here all the exams, all the certifications. It's all here. Okay. So just go to this page, and I'm sure you will find exactly what you're looking for. Definitely it's going to be there. Okay. And basically, yeah, I think that's it for today. I don't see any more questions. If you have any more questions, look, you can follow me. You can find all basically the all my social networks on that link. It's follow.tiagocosta.com if it's easier for you. And just interact with me. Send me more questions if you want to send questions in private. Go on LinkedIn, search for me. If you search Tiago Costa, MCT or MVP or Azure, something like that, Tiago Costa and whatever, you will definitely find me right away. So just go and send me those questions if you have them. And yeah, that was a big pleasure to be here today, and I hope that you enjoyed the session as much as I did. So thank you so much for attending, and hope to see you again next time.